All right, so Microsoft Recall is this thing that captures your screen image offline?
Yeah.
No, it's streaming here. Try refreshing the browser. Because it looks like it's working here. Yeah, I see my mouth moving. I think people can see me. Anyway, Microsoft Recall is their spyware that lives on your machine, records everything you do, and now they're going to say they're going to let you turn it off. And they're only going to turn it back on if you ask for it to be turned on, so that sounds a lot better. Although it certainly is something Microsoft resisted doing a lot, so it seems very clear that they really were planning to collect everybody's data and sell it. But the pushback has been so extreme, they are claiming they backed away from it. We'll see. It's an upcoming feature in Windows 11. It hasn't yet been pushed out to wide availability, probably because of the enormous outcry from people worried about privacy and security. This happened to me today. I was trying to drive through the East Bay, and my phone lost its connection to the internet. It lost all the bars went away, and it entered SOS mode, and it stayed that way for almost all my travel through the East Bay. This apparently was all over the world. Apparently it has something to do with the bad weather down south. Somehow that has fouled up the phone network to where large parts of the whole nation have been going out. So that was strange. And it hasn't been much of an explanation yet, but it's true. This guy's been charged for selling an enormous amount of license keys for Brocade switches. Apparently, Brocade switches are enterprise-class switches, and the license costs up to $100,000. So this guy had a keygen and made falsified licenses and sold 3,600 of them. And anyway, it's interesting. You see a lot of software piracy. I never hear of this. The article I saw said it was Verizon that went out, but I don't know if other networks went out too. And there hasn't been much of an explanation yet. But I certainly saw the effect. I had trouble finding my way. I was helpless without the map. So I learned how to download maps and use them offline. I went to some coffee house where I could get some internet, and I downloaded the map offline so I could get where I was going. So this is kind of incredible, but this is another thing from J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is a scary guy like Ron DeSantis. This is one psychological issue. When you have one guy who is really extreme, the second-rank people who are trying to replace him have to be more extreme. So Ron DeSantis has been turning Florida into a MAGA fanatic cult group. He's been taking all environmental studies and racial studies out of all the colleges and burning books and just doing lots of terrible things. And he has been doing this menstrual surveillance. Vance is for it, and I think they're talking about in Florida too. This is something that people were afraid of when Roe versus Wade was overturned, and now the part of Project 2025, Vance and the other Republicans want to do it. They really want to force doctors to report when women's periods are, so that if a woman's period stops, they can assume she's pregnant, and if she comes back after that, they'll assume she's had an illegal abortion and want to punish her. This was actually a commercial, an anti-Republican commercial I saw where they showed a woman trying to drive past a Texas state line with her daughter, and the cops stop her suspecting the daughter might be pregnant and arresting her for being pregnant, which is what happened in the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, they would kill women who had miscarriages on the grounds that they were killing their baby, and it looks like the U.S. is headed that way. And in similar, here's another one that's pretty amazing. Another big thing of J.D. Vance, which has been true of racists down through history, all the way back to the Roman Empire, when the wealth goes up, so the dominant race stops having so many children, then they decline in population, and the other race they don't like begins to outnumber them, and they get nervous. So the first one thing they try to do is to force the women to have more babies of the race they like, which has never worked, and the Russians are trying it too. They've done this before. They did this when I was a child in the 70s. They had posters all over Russia saying it was great to be an unwed mother, so the white Russians should feel a political obligation to get pregnant, and now they're going to punish people who don't have children, although obviously only people of the race they like, the white Russians, I think. But they proposed a ban on propaganda of conscious refusal to have children. Another thing they did in the Roman Empire was tax you for not having children and so on. So we'll see what happens. That's another thing that they'd... this has to be against HIPAA, Lecce. Well, I doubt it. I think if they manage to get a fetal personhood law passed, then it'll be completely legal to do that. Get force doctors to reveal it. They will regard it as like preventing a murder or something. We'll see. The Supreme Court will certainly go along with it. I mean, they're the ones that overturned Roe versus Wade. So I'm going to stop this recording.